To talk about the challenges in the city of Auburn Hills, we're now joined by Jeffrey Baker, the police chief of the city of Auburn Hills. Chief Baker, thank you for being with us.
You're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? How are your officers?
We're doing well. We're hanging in there. This has been, for everybody, for the community, for law enforcement, for businesses. It's been a different type of a situation dealing with a pandemic like this. And I think considering all things, we're doing well.
That's good to hear. How have you and your officers been able to weather this? What challenges maybe have you faced and tackled during this crisis that you are particularly proud of?
Well, when this all broke in mid-March, I feel pretty proud of our staff. We worked very tirelessly to come up with a plan to be able to keep our officers safe. I mean, certainly when something like this happens, we have to continue to enforce the laws of the community and keep our community safe. So we needed to figure out a way to do that while keeping our officers safe. I mean, certainly we don't want officers sick, and we don't want them taking it home to their families. And equally as important, we want to be able to have officers on the street when our citizens call us and need us, whether it be some sort of emergency at their house or even something so simple as a traffic crash. We need to be there for them. So we need to make sure that our officers stayed healthy. So we put together a comprehensive plan to do so, which included, obviously a lot of the things that you hear now with the social distancing and the wearing of masks. And if you think about it, I really feel now for the folks that work in the medical community, because we've worn masks throughout the years when we practice, donning our gas masks and things like that, but never to the extent we wear them now. And these men and women out there in the patrol cars, anytime they have contact with the community, have to put one of those masks on. And so when I see the folks in the hospitals wearing these things for 12 hours a day, I feel for them, because I'm sure you wear them yourself. They're not comfortable, especially the thicker N95 masks. So when they're out on the street dealing with folks and trying to help them, they're definitely social distancing and utilizing the hand sanitizers. We've done some things with our staff to make sure that they're safe and try to keep them working and employed. And we've been very fortunate here. Auburn Hills does not have a high number of cases, and we're proud of that. And as far as our officers, I guess I could say, knock on wood, we haven't had anybody that's contracted the COVID.
Well, that's good to hear. And we're also getting into more of the warmer weather months. Governor Whitmer and her team have continued to lift restrictions on various sectors of the economy. Local businesses and retailers now able to reopen to some extent with restrictions such as no more than 10 people in a facility at a time, social distancing, wearing your masks, all of that, and by appointment. So with that all being said, with people more out and about now than they had been previously in this pandemic, what's Auburn Hills been doing to prepare for that from a law enforcement perspective and even from an education perspective in the community?
Well, there's a couple parts to that. I mean, certainly a strong social media when it comes to dealing with our community, getting out in front of this and meeting with the businesses, not only the police department, the fire department, our community development department, our city administration has been meeting with several businesses. This is an ongoing thing, working with local restaurants when it comes to the potential to have folks having, say, outdoor seating. We were just notified this week that Great Lakes Crossing is slated to open this week. So we've done a lion's share of the work getting ahead of some of this by meeting with the businesses. They're well aware of what they can and can't do. The problem we run into is when businesses such as what I just talked about and some of the other businesses that have been operating for a while, when they open, there's complaints that come in. And short of having a entity that actually investigates these type of complaints, when people have issues with the way a business is operating, they contact the police department. So ultimately we get caught in the middle of it and we end up responding out. We've responded out to businesses that should not be operating according to the caller. We've responded out to complaints of social distancing violations. We've responded out to complaints of whether it be customers at the store or employees not wearing their masks. So we see a litany of that type of thing. So the most important thing for our officers is to have an understanding of what they can and can't do. And the key word that I impress upon the officers and my command staff is reasonableness and to use common sense. This isn't a situation we need to be out there putting people in handcuffs and hauling them off to jail. I think education and speaking with people, you try to reason with them, and if you've got somebody, let's say, that doesn't want to wear a mask, you try to reason with them and get a common agreement, as opposed to some sort of a, where it becomes anything more than a discussion. And that's our goal. We certainly don't want to turn this into anything more than it's not, and we just want people to be safe. And
Chief Jeffrey
that's our main goal.
Chief Jeffrey Baker from the Auburn Hills Police Department joining us on the MegaCast. You mentioned some of those isolated incidents with people not wearing masks, businesses that shouldn't be open and operating, being open and operating. But in a general sense, in the city of Auburn Hills, what has been the status of compliance? Are people generally following those guidelines and doing their part in preventing a further spread of the coronavirus?
Oh, I think generally, everybody's doing their fair share. We've got some fantastic citizens here in Auburn Hills, and certainly our business community. They're great partners. Matter of fact, many of them reached out to both law enforcement and fire department personnel, and they have extended themselves. Many of them have bent over backwards getting us personal protection equipment, hand sanitizers, masks. Some companies have literally changed their assembly line into creating some of these pieces of equipment that we need. So the business community and again, our citizens, they've reached out to us asking us what we need. So they've been fantastic to work with. On occasion, we get complaints, as I mentioned. We'll get a complaint of a business that's operating where it shouldn't, or the social distancing or the mask use, but we're not seeing a huge number of those calls. At first we had a couple per day, and that's trickled down to, we seldom run on those type of calls anymore, but we still, once in a while, we'll get a call with somebody, having some sort of concern about maybe somebody that's preparing their food and they're not wearing a mask, and we'll respond over there and check on it and see if there's any validity to their complaint. And if there is, then we'll speak with the manager and see if we can get it resolved.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being with us, Chief Jeffrey Baker from the Auburn Hills Police Department. Before I let you go, anything else you'd like to say to residents of the city of Auburn Hills, to people in surrounding areas as we continue through this crisis?
Well, I think the most important thing during all this is to be safe. And one thing I do want to talk to people about is to be very careful with their driving. We've noticed that I think a lot of people have recognized that the lack of law enforcement and traffic enforcement out there. We haven't seen a lot of police cars pulling people over, and as a result, we've seen the speeds increase tremendously. And I want folks to know, fair warning, that we are enforcing traffic laws. You will see our cars out there enforcing the traffic laws, the speed laws. We've run some traffic enforcement pieces on the expressway, and some of the speeds that we're seeing they're well over 100 miles an hour. Some of them are exceeding 130 miles an hour, and that's too fast. People are going to get hurt, and we want people to be safe. So fair warning, our officers are out there. They are stopping people, and tickets will be issued if they deem that necessary. So be careful. We just want people to be safe.
Everyone should be careful. Great advice, Chief Baker. Chief Jeffrey Baker from the Auburn Hills Police Department. Thank you for being with us today on the MegaCast.
Thank you.